The task force worked to ensure a varied representation of fresh food retailers were given the opportunity to apply for grants and loans.
It was very important to us, to all of us, that this program be accessible to a wide array of folks. We wanted to make sure that there was a very diverse group of not only communities that were helped through the program, but also grocers themselves, sometimes even just very small corner store operators and folks like that. It was very rewarding to work with really this very diverse group of grocers. In Philly, some of them were what you might think of as ethnic markets, Vietnamese grocery stores, actually huge Vietnamese grocery stores. One of the first projects was like that. And then also working with many corner store operators many of them are originally from the Dominican Republic and other areas. It was important for our staff to also be able to speak Spanish in that case too. Very important that we had bilingual staff.
In order to effectively reach retailers within this diverse population of grocers, communications were individually tailored.
One of the important parts to this program, there had never been a program like this ever before, was to market it and let the grocers know, hey, guess what? There's this program now. So one of the ways that we did this, we took multiple approaches. Some worked better than others, but we would do things like go to the Korean Grocers Association dinners or hang out at supermarket themed conferences. We also would get on the phone. We spent a lot of time on the phone talking to different communities all throughout Pennsylvania, rural, urban, suburban, you know, all areas that looked like they could probably use help, and we spent a lot of time on the phone as well. We also just got in the car and drove out and kind of did almost like a door-to-door, checking things out. So it was really like a huge combined approach. Everything from schmoozing at different grocer-type events to just going door-to-door and talking to folks that way. Marketing, it was not what you would consider traditional marketing per se, but it was very important. In the end, it was very important to have this human touch to it. So to actually have staff go and meet and talk to and learn and listen, marketing in a very personal, one-on-one kind of a way worked really the best than, for example, doing a mass advertisement in a supermarket trade newspaper or something.
This approach to communication was also seen at the community level between the grocers and their target populations.
When we first started working on our plans to open stores in food deserts, if you look at how consumers operate in food deserts or areas that tend to be impoverished, you'll see much lower readership of things like newspapers, magazines, and the kind of things that suburban consumers use for information. It's not how urban consumers work. They don't work the same way. They may get their information from their church or their mosque. They may get it from other groups they're in, other community groups. And so I guess from a business perspective, what we decided to do is shift the way we operate the business from a more mass market advertising system to a more personal community-based system. So we spend a lot of time with community groups, and we built in permanent infrastructure to maintain that relationship. So in a lot of our stores, we have community rooms. We think that one of the issues with organizing a solution in the community, people are willing to donate their time. They don't have a place to meet to do it. And so we made the place available. We make it available for free.
Since we moved into the new space, we have a community meeting space upstairs where we host some events, which I think has also brought in some new folks and help people learn about nutrition and how to cook some of the vegetables that we offer, or why we choose certain products over others, you know, why we may prioritize sourcing things locally, or getting organic foods, or working with small farmers. And I think that's helped have an impact on the neighborhood as far as increasing people's awareness and understanding of the products that we carry and why we choose them.
These tailored, ongoing communications enabled food retailers to identify the needs of the communities they serve and modify the products and services offered to meet those needs.
Once we establish a relationship with community leaders, the first thing we seek to do is to make sure everyone's included, and usually end up sometimes as many as 200 or 300 leaders. And we will meet with them once a month, once a quarter, in a town hall meeting type style. It seems cleaner to buy demographics or data from some source, but interestingly enough, this data I don't think really exists. Like the census would tell you that African Americans live here, but it's more complicated than that. There's a bigger story. And you don't really learn and understand those differences until you're here and talk to people. One of the things we learned in this particular location is that many of our customers are African American Muslim. And you know, there's something called halal, which is their dietary guidelines of Muslims. And what you see behind me is a separate meat room. And this meat room operates under the supervision of imams in the area. And all the products we buy have all been approved by the imams, and it's a completely separate meat room to serve our Muslim customers. We've done the same thing for our Jewish customers, Jamaicans, Western Africans, Southern African Americans. You could go Mexicans, and you could go down the list. Each of them have some nuances about what's important to them. And it's our job to figure that out.
Vigilant awareness of the needs of the target population and their surrounding environments was essential for the implementation of culturally competent activities.
The initiative had to be respectful of different models across the state. In a rural community, we're talking about perhaps expanding a grocery store and renovating that. But in the city, where you're talking about a supermarket of 65,000 square feet, that model is more appropriate. So I would say cultural competence was not simply around diversifying workforce, diversifying contract base, but bringing appropriate healthy foods to communities based on their cultural interests and tastes, as well as being able to apply the model throughout the state, no matter what the geography looks like.
Perhaps the most important element for remaining culturally competent and ensuring success throughout the life cycle of the initiative was the passion demonstrated by its partners and the food retailers.
There's a lot of joy in doing this work. It is hard work, harder, let's say, than an easier path, but well worth it. And I've spent a lot of time going around the country and talking to grocers and explaining the benefits of this work. And I hope a lot of them follow in my path, and I think they'll be happy they did.
I think the key element is success. I think every time they see the expansion and the development of more stores in communities that wasn't there before, you know, people feed off of that. I think people love the idea that something is working. And when you think about it is, you know, we all want, you know, we got some challenges and some opportunities here, but the question is, how do we bring people together to make a difference? And I think that's what you see with this coalition. And that's why I think it's been so successful.
When those moments happen where you have unique partners coming together that have traditionally worked in different areas, it's a very powerful moment, and one that I think can easily happen in other places.